Dr. Yan, who is the guest of honor of this seminar, and the head of department from Philosophy and Religion Department, Professor Anand Mishra sir, and Senior Professor, Professor Mukul Raj Mehta, and other senior faculty members, dear students. Now, on the eve of Mahavir Jayanti, we are appreciating the thoughts and the vision of Bhagwan Mahavir. So now, for the starting, I am requesting to all of our dice persons to garland respected Malvi ji. So please, you are all requested to garland, please, Malvi ji. Department Research Scholar, please help the guests. The topic of today's seminar is Jainism and Tirthaṅkar Mahāvīra. In 527 BC, Mahavir took birth as the 24th Tirthankar of Jain religion, and his preaches were for all disciples, for all living creatures. Now, I am requesting to our guest, please do deep prajwalan, lightening the lamp of knowledge. Professor Anand sir, Professor Mehta sir, guest of honor Dr. Yan, as well as Professor Sumanjan ma'am. It is our Indian tradition in which we always start our all the functions with the prajwalan and performing Mangalacharana. So now I am performing a Mangalacharana, which is from a Prakrit text, very famous book of Acharya Kundukund. The book name is Pravachan Sar. Please kindly fold your hands. Esusura manusin vandidam dhodghayikam malam padmami vaddmanam titham dhammaskataram se punutithayare sasabva siddhe visuddha sabhave samaniyanad dansan charit तव वीर्याया रे ते सव्वे समगम समगम पत्तेगमेव पत्तेगम वन्दामि अवट्टन्ते अर्हन्ते मानुषे खित्ते किच्चा अर्हन्ताणं सिद्धाणं तहणमोगर्हणाणम् अज्झावैवगाणम् साहुलं चेव सवेसिं ते सिं विशुद्ध दंसण प्राणपासमं समासेज उक्तमयामि संपम जत्तो निवाण संपत्ति जत्तो निवाण संपत्ति. Now, to welcoming all the dear scholars as well as our students, I am requesting to Professor Mishra sir, who is the head of Department of Philosophy and Religion. So kindly welcome our all delegates as well as students, Professor Mishra sir.
Hari Om. Honorable Chairperson Professor Mukul Raj Mehta ji, our chief guest Professor Suman Jain ji, guest of honor Dr. Yan, convener of the seminar Dr. Anand Jain ji, colleagues, students, scholars. I, on behalf of the Department of Philosophy and Religion, Banaras Hindu University, and Bhagwan Shreyasnath Jain Studies Fund BHU, welcome you all in this one-day seminar on Jainism and Tirthaṅkar Mahāvīra on the eve of Mahāvīra Jayanti. Friends, we are really fortunate that a scholar of religions and Indian culture, Professor Suman Jain, is today with us as chief guest. I welcome her in this seminar on Jainism and Tirthaṅkar Mahāvīra. I extend my warm welcome to Priest Yan, who is present here on the dais as guest of honor. I extend warm welcome to you, Professor. I also extend warm welcome to Professor Mukul Raj Mehta ji. In fact, he is himself behind all this. You know, he is chairman of Bhagwan Shreyasnath Jain Studies Fund BHU. And with that, the Department of Philosophy, Banaras Hindu University has been organizing a number of seminars, lectures. We hope in future we shall organize few more. So I welcome Professor Mehta ji in his own department. I also welcome Dr. Anand Kumar Jain ji, who is member secretary of the Shreyasnath Bhagwan Shreyasnath Jain Studies Fund BHU. He is a very dynamic and he is in fact conducting the academic activities and so many other activities of the fund very honestly, sincerely, diligently, and intelligently. I welcome Dr. Anand Jain. I also welcome Professor R.K. Jha ji, Dr. Baleswar Yadav ji, Dr. Rahul Maurya, Dr. Kalpana Yadav ji, Dr. Rajiv Behra ji, and other so many scholars, research scholars who are present here. I extend my warm welcome. I also welcome Professor Jyotsna Srivastav ji, Dr. Vivek Pandey from Women's College. I welcome you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Now, honoring the guest, I am requesting Professor Mehta sir as well as Professor Anand sir to kindly honor our guest. First, to honor our chief guest, please welcome with garlanding and give him her shawl. So, requesting to Professor Mehta sir and the head of Department of Philosophy and Religion Department. Please have a clap. Professor Suman Jain ma'am, a well-renowned history scholar, as she has this expertization in epigraphics and well-known name and face among us. And now I am requesting to Professor Mehta sir to honor Dr. Yen and Professor Anand Mishra sir, please. Honoring him with shawl. So, honoring our guest, please kindly provide the memento. Memento also is there. So it will be given by Professor Anand Mishra sir to our chief guest and guest of honor. This memento have the photo of Lord Tirthaṅkar Shreyasnath. On the name of Bhagwan Shreyasnath, the fund is also known as Bhagwan Shreyasnath Jain Studies Fund. Now Professor Mishra sir is giving memento to Dr. Yan, who is dual PhD in two different subjects, including Sanskrit, a great scholar and a great team. So now we have so many papers, and now I am calling one by one the paper presentators. So please mind the time limit because there are more than 10 papers. So please brief your paper within 5 minutes, and I will just recall you after 5 minutes. So please conclude it within time. So now, as the first paper presentator, now I am calling Mr. Divakar Maurya, who is the research scholar of Department of Philosophy and Religion. Please come and present your paper. Your topic is Jainism and Principles of Ethics and Integrity for World Peace. Dr. Divakar Maurya.
Good afternoon, you all. Good afternoon, you all. Today we all have been present here for on the eve of Mahavir Jayanti celebration. So it is a matter of privilege and honor for me to be here, and I am very much grateful that I have been given an opportunity to express myself on this topic. So my topic is today is Jainism and Principle of Ethics and Integrity for World Peace. Whether it is a professional or a personal life, public or corporate, or a higher ups or a humble daily wager, the good conduct and the ethics are irrespective of what you are and what you are dealing with. The moral conviction of one's belief, the moral conviction of one beliefs and values stay undiminished under all circumstances. Truth, value, compassion, and empathy are few virtues that defines one's character. Integrity is the consistent and uncompromising adherence to such strong moral and ethical principles and values as a whole. So without it, no one is complete. One might possess exceptional abilities, skill set, or wealth. But if has compromised integrity, then every other quality is seen as a doubt. Jain principle of ahimsa, non-violence, aparigrah, non-possession, and anekant, non-absolutism. The three A's helps to analyze and suggest how peaceful coexistence is possible in the world. And now the peace which is a desperate imperative at individual level or a national level can be achieved when these principles are followed. Peace is the aspect which cannot be brought about from outside. It is the internal state of mind with the feeling one can change the environment around. Ahimsa for world peace. The principle of non-violence, which is propounded by Jain tradition from centuries, can be applied to all spheres of life. The social aspect includes living beings and helps to get the fruits of non-violence to all living beings. When the person understands the principle of non-violence and applies it to every activity, speech, and thought, then the very root cause of the unrest and unhappiness will end and the world will be the better place to live. Second one, aparigraha for world peace. The principle of non-possession, or in other words, limiting one's possession in very such related to non-violence. The attachment to the possession of land, commodities, livestock, etc. becomes the cause of violence. Desires are limitless, and it is human nature to acquire more and more. One is not satisfied with what she has. This lust and greed to possess leads to the state of war and unrest. Now, the third one, the Anekantvad for world peace. The principle for non-violence, when extended towards every object, place, person, or thing, considering that reality can have exactly opposing aspect in the same object, one can get the theory of Anekantvad. This beautiful concept of Anekantvad, the doctrine of relativity of judgment, says that reality is multifaceted. In order to realize the true nature of a reality, one must see it from all different perspectives. One form of judgment based on the understanding that one has the time and space also plays an important role in formation of those judgments. Nobody is free from limitation. Thus, the person's perception of reality is just one aspect of it. But reality has many dimensions. One must try to look at the reality from all different aspects. This is the practice of non-violence in the thought. The main thing today, what we are witnessing, there is a growing concern regarding man's relationship with man's for the world peace. When the mental violence is converted into a physical violence, it not only harms the self but also others. Selfish activities, jealousy, greed, and lack of consideration for others may give one's pleasure, but ultimately it will be the cause of misery. If human can expand their circle and include every other human being in it with compassion, the world will definitely be the good place to live in. Now, we all find in our society when there will be any kind of turmoil, any type of turbulent situation, and any kind of problem when people face, they ask about law. There should be a law. In every corner, there is a law. So everyone demands about law. But rule of law as an alternative can be successful in some ways, but it is more complex. No one can deny that law established the solidarity in the society based on the rational and reasonable social norms and values in complex societies. There is hardly any area which we find is untouched by the law. But law is not autonomous. It is deeply embedded with the society. Society influence law, for the law is but a reflection of a society it governs. Law is a vehicle for a social engineering and orderly functioning of a society. Social control and social change are the ultimate function of the law in the society. Thus, it's evident that law alone is not enough. It requires moral strength and insightful approach among the peoples of a community, and how it would be established. This is the question today. Finally, I conclude my paper. The judgment of a right and wrong, what to do and what not to do, and how one is ought to act from the ethics, they are the moral principle which governs an individual. Now, the question may occur that that can they differ from one person to another. What one perceives to be right may be wrong for the other. Here comes the role of an intent. If the decision went wrong but was taken with a good intent and mindfulness, it might still fall within the ambit of a moral behavior. To err is the human, but any step taken to harm someone under compromised value and intent is certainly not an ethical conduct. The moral compass of an individual may fall differently. In a spectrum of a value system, they may judge situation differently, perceiving morality or the scope of lesser morals in a given situation and might remain inconsistent in the overall approach. It may sound subjective perspective, but well indeed intended ethical behavior has no substitute. It decides for one's dependability and truthfulness. As they say, if you tell truth, you have not to remember anything else. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Very thankful to Dr. Mr. Maurya. And now for another paper, I'm calling Ms. Durgeshwari. And before this, we are inviting you for your comments, but because we have no enough time, so we are not hearing any question. But you have any comments, then you are most welcome. So, Ms. Durgeshwari J, she is a research scholar of Department of Philosophy and Religion, and she is basically from Mauritius and having presentation her paper on Mahāvīra and Gandhi, a comparative study. Welcome.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My speech is Mahāvīra and Gandhi, a comparative study. I, Durgeshwari, a research student of comparative philosophy, I myself did not know which dimension comparative study will lead me and what am I going to discover by learning it. Comparative study is the evolution of our mind and consciousness. It is higher than caste and religion. It is a pure and sacred wisdom. It teaches us how to lead a life of purity, respect everybody's beliefs, actions, respect the world that we live in, and live a blissful life of truth, righteousness, justice, goodness, and non-violence to attain moksha, salvation, or liberation. I'm starting my speech by mentioning some noble persons who led a priceless life on this earth. Mahavir, Buddha, Confucius, Gandhi, and Rabindranath Tagore. They were all different persons in different corners of the world. They had their own beliefs, but their aims and objectives were one and the same. Their beliefs in truth, reality, justice, righteousness, love, peace, or what is called spirituality. Mahavir and Gandhi were two pure great souls. Altogether, they were a gift of Mother Nature, earth, air, water, sun, moon, light, sky, etc., that we call life. They had their respective mission in different ways of life and beliefs, but their battle was one and the same. Their message to the world is the same. Their priceless wisdom or knowledge to this world is to live in peace and with love. Thus, their moral values, humaneness, unity, righteousness, justice, non-violence, harmony, love, peace are also what is called spirituality. Moksha is not to be attained merely after life or death. It is not to be attained only by practicing prayers, rituals, meditation, or renouncing the world. Both taught us that moksha is to be attained in this living body by purification of our mind, soul, and heart. It is a salvation of our evil minds, thoughts, bad karma, or action. Spirituality is a wisdom that gives us knowledge about purity of life and helping mankind. Nobody is superior or inferior. All of us are same. We are all the pure mind and soul. Nobody is greater or better. We are not in a competition to attain money, wealth, fame, high education, power, etc. We have to enlighten the world with pure and sacred love that is called the unconditional love. We have to live in peace, harmony, and spread love. Their wisdom is to love, help, and share with each other. It is to celebrate with each other. It is to be with each other in pain and sorrow, good and bad times. Stand with each other, pray all together, and be the same and equal with each other. Mahavir and Gandhi's philosophy are a way of living a meaningful life on earth. Both teach mankind to respect others' perspective. They promote non-violent thoughts, words, and actions in the society. Both of them have provided means and ways of living a tension-free life. They eradicate the stress of mankind. Both are human-centered philosophy. While Mahavir introduced the concept of anekantavad, so Gandhi adopted it in his philosophy. Both of them teach peace. They were philosophers of mental, spiritual, and physical peace. They were spiritual saviors of mankind. They were two dynamic peacemakers. They were not peace destroyers like we have in the world today. Both of them teach social ethical values. They spread the love for spiritualism rather than materialism. Mahavir and Gandhi did not come on earth to liberate themselves, but to liberate us. Both were self-realized souls. They did not make use of education in their mission. Their mission was sacred. Gandhi put his education aside to accomplish his mission on earth. Mahavir did not require high educational qualification to attain Keval Gyan. Their message to mankind is that education is not enough to attain moksha, salvation, or liberation. Mahavir and Gandhi came on this earth to teach us to practice spiritualism. But we are still living in a competitive life. We are bringing competition on this earth. Whose God, religion is more powerful? Who is more intelligent, wealthy, successful, etc.? Thus, we direct our life in error. This is what both of us taught us, that we have not come on earth to compete, show whose God is more powerful, etc. This is what is called self-realization. Both had attained self-realization. They had prescribed different methods to attain self-realization. A conscious mind connect with our pure consciousness, the pure soul, so that when we are connected, we are able to live a just life. This is a sacred mission brought by Mahavir and Gandhi on earth. In order to accomplish a sacred mission on earth, only a few souls is chosen by universe. Both was the chosen souls. We need to have a conscious mind before embarking to read the Angas and Bhagavad Gita. The teachings found in them are to be put into practice. We need to have that self-realization. Reading of scriptures is not enough to attain self-realization. It is important to understand that we came on this earth and we have to attain self-realization. We are all fighting and looking for proofs. Everybody will get a proof by self-realization. This is what Mahavir and Gandhi came, said, and departed from this earth. Spirituality itself will reveal all the proofs about truth and reality. The true responses, proofs are revealed by universe, not by anybody else. One who treads on a spiritual path does not come to ask for proofs. He has to look for his answers by self-realization. It demands a great effort and sacrifice to attain the conscious mind and self-realization. It seems impossible, but yet it is possible by what the noble persons left on earth. We just have to be conscious of it. We have to break our ego, corrupted systems, kill our desires, passions, attachment, and all negativities. Our egoistic system has to be kept aside. All this is required by us so as to attain purity of mind, soul, and heart. Now, we are all free to choose. Either you bang your head on the wall or follow the way to lead a spiritual life for our conscious mind and soul. Thus, the conclusion, the morality of Mahavir and Gandhi is spirituality. Moreover, the point of similarity is spirituality. This is the true meaning, reality, and power of comparative study. It is to bring peace and unity to mankind with love. I thank you all for giving me this priceless moment and time to share this priceless wisdom of love and peace. Thank you. Wishing you a happy Mahavir Jayanti.
Reading of his inscriptions or literature is not important, as well as we have to understand the motive of the author. So now I am calling Miss Tenjin Minki, and she is the research scholar of Department of Pali and Buddhist Studies, basically from Tibet. She is presenting her paper on Lord Mahavir and Lord Buddha. Miss Tenjin.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. So today I'm going to present my paper on Lord Mahavir and Lord Buddha. So it's not that much philosophical as according to this department is philosophy and religion. So mine paper is more on the religious side. So I'm presenting my paper. Lord Mahavir and Lord Buddha. The two most influential preachers in the Indian history were Lord Mahavir and Lord Buddha. They were born around the 6th century BC in the northeastern part of Indian subcontinent. Their thoughts and philosophy influenced scholars from different backgrounds. The great scholar like Gandhi inspired by them and took non-violent method against British government. Despite being a practitioner of two different religious traditions, these two intellectuals have a lot in common. Today on this auspicious Mahavir Jayanti, I am presenting a paper on the similarities of these two scholars in their biography and teaching. Lord Mahavir is the 24th Tirthaṅkar who was born as a prince in the Kshatriya clan. His mother experienced 14 dreams prior to his birth, one of which was an elephant dream. She also witnessed two vats filled with water, which symbolized the child would will either become a universal monarch or a prophet possessing all the possible knowledge. Lord Buddha, on the other side, also a prince born in a royal family, his mother had also had a dream of an elephant before his birth. Later, the Buddha was prophesied by the seven Brahmins that he would either become a universal ruler or a Buddha. Nak Rajaji, in his book Akma or Tripitaka, wrote elaborately on this issue. Being a prince of royal family, he received proper education on philosophy and religion. It would not be wrong to say that the time Kshatriya clan received more benefit than Brahmin in terms of gaining knowledge, as they not only receive philosophy, literature knowledge, but also receive knowledge in military, administration, music, and fine arts. Lord Buddha and Mahavir married to the princess sharing same name called Yashodhara. They both left home to attain spiritual awakening at the age of 29 and 30. Even though Gautam Buddha accepted Madhya Marg, he practiced harsh austerities for 6 years. Mahavir also practiced austerities for attaining Keval Gyan. After the enlightenment, they both preached their own philosophy and gathered many followers. They accept the lay women to become nun and establish nun sangha. There's a fourfold division of their sangha, which are monk, nun, and layman and laywomen. They and their sangha member practice rainy season retreat. In Buddhism, it is known as a varsha that practice for 3 months during the summer season, and in Jainism, it is known as a varsha yoga in Jainism. And the Buddhist monk and Jain monk practice these retreats to incur the minimum harm to bug, insect, and other creatures that are more prevalent during the rainy season. Both Mahavir and Buddha faced schism in their life. The schism was made by their relatives. The son-in-law of Mahavir, who is known as Jamali, caused schism among Mahavir followers. And the Lord Buddha cousin Devdutt caused schism in Buddhist Sangha. Mahavir and Buddha received a strong support from contemporary rulers at that time. It is interesting to note that they share some similar rulers in their support. Bulchand, in his book Lord Mahavir, stated that The Shirnika, the ruler of Makkah, was the husband of youngest of these princes, who became lay follower of Mahavir of the Mahavir. This shows the king wife is a follower of Jain, and the king is aware of Mahavir. Kailash Jain, in his book Mahavir and His Time, stated that the king's son Kunika is represented in Jain texts as a Jain. Even though this scholar written a strong influence of Mahavir on the king and his son Kunika, it would be completely inaccurate to state that there are no affiliation of the other religion with other religion. On Buddhism, King Shirnika and Kunika was known as King Bimbisar and Ajatashatru. They too play a very active role in Buddha's life. Mahavir and Buddha not only share a cordial relation with similar rulers, also share many similar places for dwelling. The text written on the reciting at Nalanda, Rajgir, and Vaishali. Despite the fact that these scholars live in different these locations, I have not come across any description of their interaction. Being of a contemporary of each other, sharing same places for dwelling, it would be difficult to say that they were not aware of each other's presence. They strongly, besides sharing similarities in life activity, they also share many similarities in their teaching. The main teaching of these two scholars is ahimsa, non-violence towards all the living beings. In the teachings of Mahavir and Buddha, they show the principle of non-violence towards animal and equal respect to all. They refute the birth-based division of castes, and also they refute the sacrification. This makes them a follower of Sherman tradition. Mahavir and Buddha taught on karma and rebirth theory, and they perch on the two concept method and the methods on liberating from it. According to Jainism, five great vows, which are non-violence, non-stealing, truth, celibacy, non-attachment, should be practiced for the attainment of liberation. Mahavir and his follower have accepted and followed these five until the death. In Buddhism, there are five basic vows, which are non-killing, non-stealing, non-telling lies, celibacy, and non-consumption of alcohol. From which first four are like Jain's five vows, Buddha and his discipline followed these vows with other vows. In metaphysical level, Mahavir and Buddha refute the concept of God as a creator and his scripture. Jain accept five gyans, which are like Mati gyans, Ashruti, and etc. And the meaning of these gyans are also accepted by the Buddhists. So then in the conclusion sector, I want to say that though these two scholars share many similarities, their main flaws, Buddha refute the soul concept, which is accepted by Mahavir and other Indian philosophers. For Buddha, the attainment of nirvana is happened through a realization of self-existent, non-self-existent, which is different from Mahavir and other philosophers. Mahavir taught that the eternal soul attained the omniscience mind or liberation, and Keval Gyan and liberation is attained through three paths, which is Samyak Darshan, Samyak Gyan, and Samyak Charitra. Buddha refuted the soul attainment of liberation and taught that a person can achieve liberation through eightfold paths. So lastly, these two non-theistic scholars who sacrifice all luxurious princely life and face all the hardship to attain true knowledge, their life stories not only give lesson and ray of hope that we too can attain a perfect bliss if we go on their path. It would be worthwhile if we study their philosophy, not only as academician, but for the attaining of true meaning of one's life. Thank you.
Very, very thankful for the paper. If you have any comments, so most welcome. So I think there is no comment on this paper. Now for next paper, I am calling Mr. Vikas Pandey, who is the research scholar of Department of Philosophy and Religion. He is presenting his paper on similarities between moral principles of Jainism and Advaita Vedanta.
Thank you, sir, for giving me such a wonderful opportunity in front of these scholars to present my view on the topic similarities between moral principles of Jainism and Advaita Vedanta. Respected guests, professors, scholars, and my dear friends, before starting my topic, I would like to express my humble gratitude and pranamas in the feet of Lord Mahavir. May he fill our heart with righteousness and mercy. Here in this paper, I shall be proposing the similarities between ethical values of two schools of Indian philosophy, which are Jainism and Advaita Vedanta. Although it is well said that philosophy is a critical inquiry into nature of reality, but beside this task, one of the important fact is that It aims at finding and establishing moral values and ethical consciousness, for which we have independent branches of the philosophy, such as ethics, aesthetics, and meta-ethics. The Jainism and Advaita Vedanta, these major systems which I have proposed in paper, can be taken as the representative of their main canons, which are Jainism can be considered as the representative ethical system for heterodox system, excluding Charvak. And Vedanta can be considered as the representative of orthodox canon. Jainism is one of the oldest school of Indian philosophy. Even it is said that it is as older as Vedic philosophy. Not only its metaphysical positions are behavioral, but the view with which Jainism has propounded set of ethical principles, they are also well consistent and useful in contemporary times. Jainism tries to explain the existence of consciousness in everything which comprises this world. Similarly, Advaita Vedanta has also said that all this world is nothing than Brahman, which is consciousness. History of Indian philosophy is not the collection of scholarly sounding theories of different systems spanning over thousands of years, but it's a legacy and lineage of those superminds who not only had given rational views regarding this world, rather their lives are the manifestation of those values which are yet ideal for humanity. And Lord Mahavir is example in front of us. One of the most important similarity between these two systems which I have seen that in spite they both have described the evolution of this world, but they both are work negating philosophy, Nivritti Pradhana Darshan. The reason behind this is they both give emphasis on the karma. It is only karma through which Jeev get wheeled or plunged into ignorance and has forgotten its nature. One of the magazine published from Sri Ramakrishna Mission, Prabuddha Bharata, in that magazine, Swami Brahmeshanand has written, both Jainism and Vedanta accept the Atman as a real nature of all living beings, a reality that is different from the body, the pranas, the mind, and the intellect, which are inert, jad. Jainism calls them Pudgala. Vedanta propounds that individual soul forgets its real nature and identifies with the unreal, body and mind due to ignorance, avidya. Jainism also considers mithyat or wrong knowledge ignorance as the chief cause of bondage between the conscious principle, Atma, and insentient Pudgala. It, however, postulates a few more causes of bondage: the absence of dispassion for senses, enjoyment, that can be called as a avirati, carelessness, pramada, attachment, kashai, and the activities of the body and speech. Jainism says that seer of the liberation or enlightenment has to become free from the worldly bondages, for which they propound the theory of threefold paths. According to the Jain thoughts, Jainism provides threefold paths known as a Triratna, three jewels, for the attainment of the moksha, salvation, right faith, right knowledge, right conduct, which are Samyak Darshan, Samyak Gyan, and Samyak Charitra. Furthermore, Swami emphasizes right knowledge is greatly emphasized in Advaitic tradition because ignorance can be destroyed only by knowledge. The chief means of acquiring this knowledge is called Jnana Yoga, the philosophy propounded by the Upanishads, which aims at attaining the highest spiritual knowledge. Ethics of Advaita prescribes two dharmas or codes of conduct separately for householders and sannyasis. Similarly, Jain tradition has also given different rules for conduct, that is, those who aspire to become ascetic or other who aims at living the life of the Shravak. Householders have been expected to follow Aduvrat, known as small vows. For the ascetics, the 5 vows are strictly recommended. These 5 vows, Panch Mahavratas, are Asteya, Satya, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha, and Ahimsa. Jainism has accepted 2 types of the bondages. The physical, the bondage which arises from due to materialistic world, and the mental bondage, that is bhava bandhan and manas bandhan. Vedanta also has described this bandhan while explaining the Panchakosh theories. In Advaitic terms, we can say these values are counted under the Sadhan Chatushtay, which a seeker or the knower of the Brahman must have to follow. Because the purification of Chit is important in both tradition for the enlightenment. The concept of the Samadhi is also one common factor in both systems. At last, but not least, I would like to conclude my paper with this. Jainism has given the concept of ahimsa, which is not only influenced the modern thinkers, but the principle finds its importance in Vedas and Upanishads. The characteristics of the liberated man, practice of the celibacy, keeping undoubted faith in the teachings of the acharyas, concept of the renunciation can be seen as much similar in both the systems. Thank you.
A very good topic on Jainism and Advait Vedanta comparative study presented by Vikas Pandeyji. And now I am calling the departmental scholar, Dr. Rajiv Lochan Behraji, Assistant Professor of the Department of Philosophy and Religion. And now I am welcoming Professor Vimlendra sir, who is from Department of Pali and Buddhist Studies. So now Dr. Rajiv Lochan will present his paper.
At the very outset, I convey my best regards to the chief guest of this seminar and organizer and all the team member of these organizations. Self-expression is the house of soul is in Tirthaṅkar Mahāvīra's philosophy of language and analytical appraisal. In this paper, I would like to argue that self-expression is the house of the soul through the light of Tirthaṅkar Mahāvīra's philosophy of language. The paper emphasized the inquiry of how we analyze the attributes of the soul through language. Self-expression inquiries, umpires between linguistic choice and social reality, such as linguistic thought, not only to express their documentation with or denunciation of social orientations, but also to express their mysteriousness. Self-expression for Tirthaṅkar Mahāvīra is the house of soul, which is to say that self-expression is the pivotal process we dwell in the soul. It occurs in the representation of souls. In the sovereignty of self-expression, man becomes the spectator of the soul. The house of soul for Mahāvīra is standing on the potentiality in integration of forms of self-expression, such as perfect perception, Ananta darshan, perfect knowledge, Ananta jnana, perfect power, Ananta virya, and perfect bliss, Ananta sukha. In this context, Sagarmala Jain, the lawyer of Mahāvīra, states that language is a means of self-expression. Mahāvīra said that the philosophy of self-expression is associated with theories of arts, knowledge, meaning, and emotion. And he argues that all arts are a form of self-expression. All self-expression is also an intuition or a bit of knowledge that is not translatable into arts or any other medium. According to some thinkers, self-expression is expressing one's thoughts and feelings, and these expressions can be accomplished through words, choices, and actions. According to Mahāvīra, self-expression is an act of expressing yourself, and it can take a wide variety of forms. We possess to express our authentic inner self. Philosophers whose business it is to question plentitude rightly wonder how it's possible to know what is someone else's heart or mind. However, the correct answer to these questions underestimate is just how ingenious our and other physicists have been in solving the problem of manifesting one's point of view. Self-expression is the measure of that ingenuity. Self-expression is also called in order to mark out our subject matter from those phenomena in which words express ideas or concepts and sentences express propositions. The relationship is a matter of human convention, and thus no more is needed, no more in need of explanation than other way in which we use language. Mahāvīra argues with regard to the expression of feeling and thought through sounds signals, bodies, movement, and other kind of symbols. We must include several forms of self-expressions which are basically expressed about the attributes of the soul. One is Kevala Darshan, perfect perception, a state in which the soul can see, hear, and perceive everything from the past, present, and future, all at the same time. Darsana Varnya Karma becomes obscures this attribute. Kevala Jnana, perfect knowledge, a state in which the soul knows everything, past, present, and future that is happening in the world, all at the same time. Jnana Varinya Karma obscures this attribute. And Ananta infinite power, a state in which the soul has infinite power. Antaya Karma obstructs these attributes. And Ananda, infinite bliss, a state in which there is no pain, suffering, and happiness. The soul has ultimate peace. At this point, the soul is never again born. The state of soul is considered as the power of power. It's a pure soul, which no longer occupies a body, and it is formless. It is called liberated soul. All liberated soul are equal. No is higher and lower in status than any other. All these comprises of the person make him and her, who is he or she, and it means the person conveys which he or she truly is to others. It maintains two levels of self-expression. One is the level of oneself and the level of others. At the level of oneself, self-expression helps how others understand who you are. Moreover, how we reveal our quest identity to others is an important task of a human being, and to fulfill or to complete the task is to maintain several steps. One is to the person should reflect the core nature of his or her, which should not affect anyone but himself or herself. Second, there is a need to express yourself, but it is not easy for all. Therefore, there is the possibility of error. So sometimes someone expresses himself or herself rightly or otherwise wrongly. Third one, there is a need for the skill of learning for self-expression. It is necessary. It is necessary for one's own self-development expression to depend on a certain level of openness and transparency to be able to fully express yourself significantly. Next one is there is a need for the intervention of extra factors. Supermind, it is here I'm mentioning extra factors is nothing but supermind or soul. For self-expression, expression of oneself or others. Last one is self-expression is an activity that expresses our thoughts, emotion, belief, and everything we consider to be a reality. I'll conclude that it has been considered that the power of self-expression lies in a being his or her true and authentic soul, as we know that every experience in this world will result in how we portray ourselves to others. It is a kind of representation of one to others, but there is the possibility of false representation which can lead to complications and wrong path. We could have ended up where we aspire to be, but we didn't dare to express ourselves. We held ourselves back from a great opportunity. Aside from this, we feel most complete and whole when we are secure in who we are. For Mahavir, self-expression always you to impress the entirety of whom you are, including your weaknesses, flaws, and shortcomings. It allows you to embrace every part of yourself, both your best aspect and the ones you wish to change. Self-expression is a kind of method. It is about putting yourself on a path that's real and honest. Thank you. Thank you.
A very nice presentation by young scholar of the department. and the colleague of the department, Dr. Rajiv Luchan. And now I am calling for the next paper, Ms. Vijay Lakshmi Rai. She is the research scholar of Department of Philosophy and Religion, and she is presenting her paper on mechanism on the sport theory in language. So please continue.
Good afternoon, each and everyone. My paper title is Mechanism of the Spota Theory in Language Analysis, Jainism and Purva Mimamsa's Perspective. Language analysis is the central focus of the philosophy of language. In Jainism, during the period of 24th Tirthaṅkara Mahāvīra, there has a discussion on language philosophy. This shows that how important language analysis was for Jainism. The argument was between Mahavir and his own son-in-law Jamali regarding the meaning of the term Kriyaman, as to whether it can be regarded as Krit or not. Mahavir said that Kriyaman is Krit, while Jamali regarded it as Akrit. In the first explanation of the first Shatak of Bhagavati Sutra, there is I'm quoting one thing from there. Gautama is asking to Mahavira, "O Lord, is it proper to call moving as moved, fructifying as fructified, feeling as felt, separating as separated, cutting as cut, and exhausting as exhausted?" Mahavir replied, "Yes, Gautama, it is so. Moving is moved, fructifying is fructified, feeling is felt, separating is separated, cutting is cut, dying is dead, and exhausting is exhausted." But contrary to it, Jamali's opinion was how any ongoing activity till it is accomplished is called as done. Whatever is going on is not gone. Whatever is burning is not burnt. But later, Jamali was convinced of this view, maybe because of real life event. According to Mahavira, languages produced by the body or bodily efforts, technically known as prayojika, sensible body and intellect or a thought expression capacity in the speaker as well as listener is also necessary for the language. Language is possible only through sense and mind. Now let's come what Sphotavada. As we know, Sphota theory is an essential device used by the Indian grammarians like Parini and Patanjali and Bhartrihari also for the language analysis. According to them, Sphota means Sphutati artho yasmati sa sphota. That is, on hearing the words or sentences, when the picture of unit, its meaning is presented before us, it is called Sphota. Thus, Sphota is a meaning-bearing unit of the language. Bhartrihari develops his theory of language by maintaining that the Sphota means it is a meaning whole, which is something over and above the written or uttered letters. Grammarians are claiming that the word or a sentence located in the mind of the speaker and the listener and taken as an integral symbol is revealed by the sound produced in the fixed order. It means that sounds are only manifesting agencies and have no function other than that of revealing the symbol. Each sound helps in manifesting the same Sphota. It is one and the same Sphota that is revealed by each one of these letters. Now, according to Jainism, when a speaker wants to express his thoughts and feelings to others, the mind becomes active first. After that, speech becomes active, and then body. And then the sound system of the speaker receives the atoms of the speech. After that, it transforms into language or a special word sounds, and at last excretes the form sound and get them out. Jana's interpretation of the meaning theory seems to be a substantive semantic, because a word is a particular mode of material substance, but as well as attributive also, because according to Jainacharyas, substance and its modes are identical in nature. Mahavir argues that we can't completely express meaning and truth only through the help of language. The function of language depends on dual aspects of senses, that is, internal sense and external sense. According to Mahāvīra, language is created by the convention. The human being cannot get the language as they get ready-made goods. Language is continuously dynamic, and the meaning of the language is also grasped by the image of the phonemes in a particular context. It seems that, according to Mahāvīra, there is no need for Sphota as a meaning-bearing unit. The theory of Vibhajyavad, introduced by the Mahāvīra and Gautama, is an early form of the philosophy of language, which is developed as Yadavad and Nayavad in later on. Jainacharya Prabhachandra says, if the meaning of the word is sustained by the mental impression of the previous letters, then the assumption of Sphota is useless, because even in the absence of Sphota, the meaning of the term can be obtained. Now, he stated that the Sphota doctrine is unnecessary. When the memory of the latent impression of the previous letter and the utterances of the last letter is capable of the denotation of word and sentence, then to imagine an indirect reason for the Sphota doctrine is illogical. Now, if the letters are not able to manifest the meaning either individually or collectively, then how they can manifest Sphota? Now, Mimamsakas against the Sphota theory argues that the unity of the word or a sentence is based on the unity of the meaning. Therefore, no new Sphota need to be assumed. There is no interdependence, since the conception of the word is based on that of the meaning, but not a vice versa. We learn the meaning of word and sentences from their use in actual speech context, and so much of the sound pattern in a fixed order which is found applied to a particular sense is taken to be a word having the meaning. Now, Kumaril says that the meaning of a word is determined by the uses, and as such those letters uttered in a particular order of sequence by one individual, which has expressed the sense to us when we have first learned the word from our elders, will express the same sense at all future times. Hence, it is said that there is no necessity for postulating the Sphota theory. Now, I will conclude my paper. In the overall view of Sphotavad for language analysis given above, it submits by proclaiming that the philosophy of language probes the nature of human language, its origin and use, the license between meaning and truth, and recounts human thought and understanding as well as reality itself. The existence of Sphotavad postulated by Padini and Bhartrihari reply to the question, how can a sequence of phonemes, each without meaning, even occur and simultaneously express meaning? Kumarila and Jaina tradition refuted this notion. According to Kumarila, for the expression of meaning, only two things are required. First one is sequence of the phoneme, and second is the memory. On the other hand, Jaina acharyas are claiming that the ability to manifest meaning is only in the conscious entity. If Sphota is a conscious entity, then Jainas have no issue. But it is not a conscious entity, so that they have issue. They claim that the last letter manifests the meaning of the words supported by the mental impression of the previous letter. So there is no need of assuming Sphota. It seems that the process in Jainism through which we attain meaning is more closer to our day-to-day life experience. Thank you so much, and happy Mahavir Jayanti to all of you.
We are so privileged with the presence of
Professor Bimlendra sir.
Professor Bimlendra Kumar Jain is with us.
So yes. So I am requesting from the behalf of DICE to please welcome our respected scholar, Professor Bimlendra sir. He is a great scholar of Buddhist studies as well as Pali. So
another thing that I would like to welcome Dr. Shreyasnath Jain. He is from IIT BHU. He is also amongst us. So welcome, Dr.
So I am welcoming both scholars from our Bhagwan Shreyasnath Jain Studies Fund and Department of Philosophy and Religion. Vijayalakshmi Rai presented her paper, and a little thing is also written by Acharya Amrit Chandra on his Footvad in Pachastikai. So we can look also there. And now I'm calling for next paper, Miss Renu Paul. She is a research scholar of Department of Philosophy and Religion, basically from USA and RI, and she is presenting her paper. Please read your topic.
Pranama, Pranama, Pranama. My Guruji in Kerala reminded me, and I share this with you. We're very fortunate, not only because today is, of course, Mahāvīra's jayanti, but it's very auspicious because today is Somar, Lord Shiva's special day. It's Somar Pradosh. And for Lord Vishnu, it is Trayodosha. So in many senses of the word, we're having it's a very, very auspicious occasion. Bahut dhanyavad. The title of my paper is A Retrospective on Mahāvīra's Ethics for Modern Times. The tenets of Jainism were favorably received throughout the millennia, reaching the imagination of the Indian aesthetic, cultural, and intellectual tradition. The aim of this paper is to present a roadmap of Mahāvīra's dharmic shramana, asceticism that is, which he channeled to his local community into a collection of ethical guideposts that has influenced the Indian landscape. The significance of Mahāvīra's ethical and moral code will be considered in relation to the impact of technology in the modern world. In other words, the ubiquitousness of machines, its significance in everyday life, and its dominance at the cost of human devaluation. The great conqueror and ford maker, Vardhamana Mahāvīra, the 24th Tirthaṅkara, and last in a successive and unbroken lineage in the present Jaina time cycle, lived around the 6th century BC as a contemporary of Gautama Buddha. Whether it is the distinct style of temple architecture or the flourishing of literature, made accessible to the masses throughout the local vernacular, of Ardha Magadhi or Prakrit, the artistic and cultural influence of Jainism is, needless to say, considerable. The ontological domain of Jaina metaphysics and epistemology in particular added novel concepts to the discovery of the self as jivas, individual souls. Each are individuated and integral to the holistic pantheon of life, irrespective of the vastness of difference found in Prakriti, nature. Since all jivas are animate, they enjoy agency as gleaned from the earliest Jaina canons, which enjoin degrees of self-abnegation for monk and householder, or their levels of it, degrees of it, more strict for monks than householders, even to the extent of creating an equal zone of protection for sentient creatures of the lower animal and plant kingdoms. Technology unplugged. In light of the digital revolution of computing generated by data mining, search engines, and algorithms, the fast emerging technology and twinning of robotics with artificial intelligence and nanotechnology is no longer science fiction, but the face of lived and virtual reality. In the age of the machine, autonomous smartphones regulate daily life, giving technological gadgets and objects a life of their own. Efficient devices navigate journeys to the remotest parts of the globe with minute accuracy, while robots can perform surgical procedures and drop smart bombs as part of any requisite military operation. The German philosopher and critic Gunther Anders, he's not very well known. He was part of the German social theory. He was a student, I believe, of, I have to get back there. The name is not coming to me right now. But anyhow, Gunther Anders, after observing the devastating effects of World War I and II, the anxieties surrounding the nuclear threat of the Cold War, and the apparent progress of science, sounded the alarm about the dire effects of their offshoots, namely the developments in advanced technology, which could lead one day to the extinction of the species. In his book, The Obsolescence of Man, first appeared in the mid-50s, prefiguring the existential crisis of man with regards to his engineering creation, namely, machines delegating the role of humans as a cog in the very machine they help to create. Despite the irony, as the title suggests, the absence of authentic connectedness, not connectivity, and responsibility shifts humans from the center to the periphery of history. He remarks that, quote, the atom bomb is thus the ultimate emblem of an unearthly, unsettling, and haunting force channeled by complex technological objects. It illuminates that the more our technological power grows, the smaller we become, end of quote. This subtle erosion of values is a cause for us to pause and critically assess the trends of technological dehumanization prima facie. Putting the instrumental value and utility technological objects have aside, the enigma of technology's uber presence shapes aspects of human life while the consumer of technology concurs in silence the creation of the artificial metaverse. The point of ethical reasoning is to provide guidestones and register normative and regulative criteria, deeming an act as virtue or vice, right or wrong, subjective or objective, absolute or relative. For the ancient Greek sophists of the 5th century BC, truth was not an either-or proposition, but similar to a language game, played with man as a measure of what is and what is not. Hence, the rise of ethical subjectivism came to light in the earliest discourse of Western ethics. The 3 jewels and the 5 vows. The great Indian philosopher, statesman Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan, and I should note that he was the founder of this department and the vice chancellor of our great university. He said that, quote, the name Jainism indicates the predominantly ethical character of the system, end of quote. The religion of nonviolence, Jainism is embedded in Sarvodaya, or welfare for all. Individual atoms to non-sentient objects enumerated in Jaina ontology with microorganism and plant life are independent as separate jivas or souls, yet eternal and ever existent. Mahāvīra conquered the self, and so doing gave a normative blueprint of 3 jewels and 5 vows for spiritual realization. At first glance, his feats of renunciation, of withdrawing from his former life as a prince, may appear to be extreme and one-sided. Maintaining long periods of silence, removing the hairs from his head, abstaining from food and water and other bodily pleasures, wandering as a mendicant in parks and villages, meditating under the glare of the sun and under the shade in winter, causing no harm, not even to the smallest of creatures, undertaking self-imposed deprivation of sleep, and leaving all property and material possessions, an ascetic character found rarely in man. After 12 years of practicing penance and severe austerities, he achieved Kevala Jnana, omniscience or absolute knowledge. It is also worth noting that a Jina, which the term Jaina is derived, is the victor who has conquered the base vices and passions such as anger, pride, greed, and deceit. An ancient text of Jaina philosophy and the most authoritative to both of the texts, the Digambaras and the Shvetambara texts, is the Tattva Artha Sutra of Umaswami. The first sutra, Samyag Dharshana Jnana Charitrani Moksha Marga, is significant as it is a key to spiritual liberation and final emancipation or moksha according to the Jaina path. The sutra refers to the Ratnatraya or 3 jewels of 1, right vision, alternatively known as view, perspective, belief or faith, 2, right knowledge, and 3, right conduct. In other words, Samyak Darshana or right vision, Satyajna or right knowledge about life, and Samyak Charitra or right conduct work in tandem, inclusive of each other, leading to favorable consequences of action. To have right vision is a firm conviction that the essential principles are universal, thus true for all times, all places, without distinction. The knowledge learned with the right perspective of reality is that it is a multi-perspectival agenda derived from 5 sources: sensory, spiritual, clairvoyance, telepathy, and omniscience. The conduct that is based on the right vision and the application of the knowledge is called right conduct. The emphasis, therefore, is spiritual liberation or moksha. The second sutra in the same text prescribes a voluntary uptake of 5 vows, which was mentioned earlier in one of the papers. Himsanrittasteya Brahma Parigrahe Vyo Vritti Vritam. By undertaking the 5 vows as enumerated below, leads the adherent to ownership of the coveted 3 jewels. These vows are ahimsa, non-injury, satya, truth, asteya, non-stealing, brahmacharya, celibacy, and parigraha, partial attachment to worldly goods. It should be noted that ahimsa is a cornerstone of ethical principles. The paramount dharma of an adherent, whether monk or householder, is to uphold the injunction: do not injure, abuse, oppress, enslave, insult, torment, torture, or kill any creature or living being. It is clear from this that humans are the primary stakeholders in Jaina understanding and not automatons. Finally, the tensions of living in a techno-centric lifestyle can be softened through Mahavira's teaching of ahimsa, or non-injury, through mutual coexistence and interdependence of all things. One of the fruits of modern life
A very nice presentation by Ms. Renu Paul. And now for another speaker, I'm calling Mr. Mazid Ansari, who is the research scholar of Department of Philosophy and Religion. Please present your paper.
I wish you a very prosperous, delightful Mahavir Jayanti to all of you. The title of my paper is Nature of Religious Movement in India in the 6th century BC, with a special reference to Jainism, a philosophical exposition with historical facts. In this paper, an attempt has been made to present a philosophical overview of the origin and exploration of Jainism in Vaishya and Kshatriya cultures. This paper will also explore the philosophical insight of Jain doctrines and their relevance in the present fascist government. Numerous religious sects emerged in the Middle Ganga Valley region in the 6th century BC. These religious sects inculcated many defects of the ancient Vedic Brahmanical religion, which is why these sects have also been called reformative movements. Evidence suggests that about 62 religious sects originated in these Gangetic Valley regions and were based on regional customs and rituals practiced by different people in northeast India. Of all these sects, Jainism was the most significant and emerged as the most potent religious reform movement. Jainism made the first serious attempt to mitigate the evil of the burned order and ritualistic Brahmanical religion. Bardhaman Mahavir was the hero of the Jain religious movement during the 6th century BC. Magad was the center of all these intellectual activities. It is not accidental that in this period, on the one hand, the foundation of a huge empire was being laid. On the other hand, religious and intellectual movements were going against the ancient Vedic philosophy of life. It cannot be ignored that similar intellectual movements were happening in other parts of the world. In China, Iran, and Greece, the challengers who attacked the ancient beliefs and customs were Confucius, Zarathustra, and Pythagoras, respectively. Now, I am going to discuss that what was the reason behind the emergence of Jainism in the 6th century BC. Each and every religion who emerged has a very implicit and several reasons behind their emergence. Jainism was the result of a rebellion against Brahmins by Kshatriya.
In today's world, where environmental degradation has become a significant concern, Mahavir's teaching on ecology or nonviolence hold immense relevance. The world is facing several environmental challenges like climate change, pollution, loss of biodiversity, and it is essential to adopt a sustainable practice and reduce our impact on environment. Mahavir Jayanti is a time for us to reflect on Mahavir's teaching on environmental conservation and non-violence. Let us strive to imbibe these virtues and work towards creating a more sustainable and harmonious world for ourselves and future generations. Thank you.
For another paper, I'm calling Mr. Praveen Kumar Yadav, who is the research scholar of Department of Philosophy and Religion, and we will present his paper on Samyak Darshan.
मोक्ष मार्गस्यनेतारम भेतारम कर्महुवृताम ज्ञातारम विश्वतत्त्वानाम वंदे तद्गुरुलब्धये. Good afternoon to all of you. Myself Praveen Kumar Yadav, research scholar in this department. My paper topic is Samyak Darshan as the first step towards moksha or emancipation. Firstly, we can see in our experience that everybody, every human being, every creature wandering here and there for happiness, but they don't have any idea where is the real existence of happiness or where is the real place of happiness. Actually, we have developed a lot of scientific development and technological development, but after all, we are unable to find the treasure of happiness. In this context, our Sadguru, our Sadhu and Sadhvis tell us it's a good thing that we are searching happiness in the world, but the way of searching is not proper because we are searching it in this materialistic world. So we firstly think about own self, which exists in ourself, or at the name of soul, God, or other things in Jain context, Jeev. In this sequence, we find that in Tattva Sutra, three jewels, just like Samyak Darshan, Gyan, Chaitanya, Moksha Marga. It means Samyak Darshan, Samyak Gyan, and Samyak Charitra. Right belief, right conduct, and right knowledge. These three things are most helpful for us to emancipate ourselves. But I would like to focus my point on Samyak Darshan. What is the feature of these things? Tattvar Sardhanam Samyak Darshanam. It's mean by which we can focus on the 7 elements we can talk in Jain reference. Jiva, Jiva, Asro, Bandh, Samar, Nirjara, Moksha. Through Jain Samyak Darshan, we can know about it. We can develop our interest in this particular things. After developing the faith, after developing the idea about it, we are able to emancipate our soul. Are we able to understand the main value of Jeev? Just some example we can see that if anybody in the dark chamber or deep sleep, if he want to be able, if he want to know the light and walk out of the room, then first he has to wake up and walk there. The first step, just like a Samyak Darshan, by which we can realize and we can control our mind to move around the world where not in existence of real soul or real happiness. After emancipating our knowledge, our soul, we can proceed towards the Samyak, towards the liberation or emancipation. So we can finally say that the Samyak Darshan is the idea by which we can provoke or motivate ourselves, inner self, and proceed towards the moksha or liberation. Thank you so much.
For the next paper presenter, I am calling Ms. Rinki Mishra, who is research scholar of the Department of Philosophy and Religion, and she will present her paper on the doctrine of mind in Tirthaṅkar Mahāvīra and René Descartes' philosophy of mind.
Firstly, good afternoon to all of you. My topic is the doctrine of mind in Tirthaṅkar Mahāvīra and René Descartes' of philosophy of mind. The primary focus of this paper is to delineate the conception of the mind from both perspective of Tirthaṅkar Mahāvīra and Descartes' philosophy of mind. Of one aspect, the mind is the main concerning point of dualism, while another aspect, the mind is non-physical or subtle substances. Here, the mind is closely related to consciousness. In the first aspect, it is a basic distinction of mind-body dualism. For Mahāvīra, the mind helps in knowing consciousness, while for Descartes, the mind becomes the subject as well as the object of knowing. In Jain Darshan, Mahāvīra described that the mind can be understood in terms of jiva as the sentient substances, which is non-physical and non-perceptible to senses, while Descartes described the mind as the cognitive faculty of a living being. According to Descartes, the mind is dependent on substances, but it acts independently. There is no distinction between mind and soul, but in Jainism philosophy, the mind is different from the soul. The mind does not possess consciousness because it is an exclusive attribute of the soul. The mind, like the soul, is not a permanent entity. It is exists only when consciousness manifests as a thought, beliefs, desire, emotion, and feeling. It is the executive and regulatory body, and the material body is the place of physical substances. It is an entity or element which uses rationality, its natural process. The fundamental issues is how the mind creates a major act of various phenomena and how Mahavir doctrine of mind is reliable in this era. The mind is always responsible for our all activities which are closely related to consciousness. In Jain Darshan, dualism is a special kind of dualism. Instead of two levels of existence, the, the non-physical soul and physical matter or body are comprised of two ontologically distinct substances as supposed in substances or Cartesian dualism. But Jain dualism consists of three levels of existence: mind, body, and soul. This three-tier structure is applicable to all organisms and human beings. It is also true of heavenly and infernal beings, with the difference that they have a protein body. The soul creates a separate entity for their execution. This new entity, known as the mind, is manifested with the consciousness of the soul and is influenced by the karma in its working. Karma is thus interface between the soul and mind. Thus, state of mind is now a function of karma. It changes with karma. This means that the perception of external object made by the mind highly karma dependent. The mind is Western philosophy is conceived as something that thinks, perceive, known, experience, hold, belief, and memories, desire and interact with external world, and so on. To explain such phenomena, these view have been presented by thinkers and philosophers who differ in their approaches. With the jiva in lower organism, discharges the limited functions of instincts, desire, and feeling with the help of adhyavasha. In this context, T.U. Mehta, who is the former Chief Justice of High Court, though professionally he belongs to the subject of economics and law, but his interest lies in the study of philosophy, metaphysics, and comparative religion. He tries to express some fundamental principle of Jainism through a logical and rational approaches to philosophy, and argues in the Jain Avenue magazine with regard to Mahavira's account of the mind. The subconscious is not isolated from us. It is the bhava karma, that outer manifestation of human action, are only the gross result of this bhava karma, which are laying in our subconscious deep below the level of our thinking mind. Similarly, the Swiss physicist Carl Jung argues that the personal unconscious is where the individual stores rejected the memories and emotional material. He says that his gloomy reason stands between us and the deeper level of the subconscious, acting as sort of dictator the both direction. Jung claimed that man has only to realize that he is set up inside his mind and cannot step beyond it, even his insanity, and that the appearance of his world or his gods very much dependent upon his own mental condition. Jung's observation very much sound like the doctrine of karmas propounded by Mahavira. Both have thoughts that self set up inside his mind and cannot step beyond it. Jung calls deeper level of subconscious acting as a sort of dictator. Mahavir calls from simply the bhav karma, that is the thoughts and tendencies entertained and encouraged by you before or without giving them, say by outer action. The recognition this great stream of the subconscious, which is the essential part of our personality, but of which we are mostly unaware, has given Jain thinking about theory of karma a psychological and scientific gloss that is almost modern. According to the teachings of Mahavira, the activities of the mind from a sort of karma sarira, a karmic body, for the soul which moves through sansara to experience the fruit of this karma. It is said that the karmic matter proctilious and cleaning to the soul as does the heat and red hot iron ball. Thus, every soul is responsible for its own karma. It has either to suffer and enjoy these fruits or to set this karma by positive efforts. If it want to avoid their fruits, how to do this is the subject matter of a different discussion. However, the Jaina believe that this can be done has led them categorize and analyze the nature of different type of karma. The nature of this intensity which they bind the soul, the time when the fructicity, the manner in the which the fructicity and the method of, by which this karma may be destroyed or this their effort modified. Thank you.
And now I'm calling our very young scholar of Jain studies. He's also a very active person of our fund also. Time by time, he is also giving some suggestion. Dr. Vivekanand Jain, I'm calling, who is working in Central Library, BHU. Now he is presenting his views as paper over Lord Mahavir as a great man of India. Welcome, Mr. Jain.
Jai Janendra, respected delegates, dignitaries on the desk and off the desk. We are celebrating Mahavir Jayanti, and after this much long time, after 2622 birthday we are celebrating. So he's a great man. Due to that, we are celebrating his birthday after this much long time. So on this point of view, I am presenting my paper. India has been the birthplace of many great men for centuries, in which Lord Mahavira is also one. Lord Mahavira was born in India in 599 BC, and we are celebrating here today his 2622 birthday. If we are celebrating after this much long time, then he must be something unique and extraordinary person. So we all are assembled here to celebrate his great birthday. Lord Mahavira and Lord Buddha are well known to world history from India, as Confucius from China and Socrates from Greece. All of them were great wise men who revealed human values of supreme importance and revolutionized human thoughts and culture by their philosophies from ancient time to till date. As you know, Lord Rishabdeva is considered first Jain Tirthaṅkara and Lord Mahavira as 24th Tirthaṅkara of Jainism. The concept of Sarvodaya. The concept of Sarvodaya was given by Lord Mahavira. He does not want to a difference in society on the basis of caste and creed. What he wants the betterment of each and everyone in human society. He told man is known by his deeds, not by work. मनुष्य जन्म से नहीं कर्म से महान बनता है. We should have the same behavior and thoughts towards others that we like ourselves. This is the principle of live and let live, Jio or Jeene do. Lord Mahavira is distinguished by his great gift of humanity in the form of the highest ethical virtue of ahimsa, which has become the first importance in world affairs today. He was against the animal sacrifices in the name of religion. Lord Mahavira as well as Lord Buddha has great contribution to human thoughts and culture as a great teacher of humanity. So they are makers of ancient as well as modern India. Lord Mahavira teachings were so liberal to all human beings in peaceful coexistence for happiness, peace and progress. One more thing, Mahavira and Buddha took renunciation in very young age. Mahavira was born as a prince, but at a very young age, he himself renunciated as a monk at the age of 30. Earlier in the society, there was a concept that renunciation is the work of old age. What Lord Mahavira and Lord Buddha renunciate, it is very engaged. He tried to solve the mysteries of life and nature. After the Keval Gyan, he started preaching to the people of the society from one place to another place. Lord Mahavira has given his first sermon at Rajgiri on the Vipulachal hill, and Gautam Indrabhuti was the first disciple of Lord Mahavira. In the one reference, I found that he visited many places for preaching, including Varanasi, because it is a great place for Jainism as a birthplace of Lord Mahavira. Jainism are celebrating the festival of light, Deepavali, on the day of Nirvana of Lord Mahavira. The influence of Jain philosophy can be seen in many policies of Indian government, including foreign policy of India decided by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru as a principle of Panchsheel, as well as Ahimsa by Mahatma Gandhi as the instrument for solving the political and social problem of the society. The philosophy of Anekantvad, pluralism as the essential to resolve the conflict of society at national and international level. So non-violence and pluralism of Jainism are needed for world peace. One more thing I want to include. Once Einstein said that religion without science is a blind and science without religion is lame. What Jainism is a religion with science, so future Jainism is very bright and it is ever growing. Thank you very much.
There is always a space for science in Indian tradition, and which was presented by Dr. Vivekanand Jain. Now I am requesting our guest of honor, Dr. Yen, who is from France. So may I request you to please have some words with us on the Jainism and Tirthaṅkar Mahāvīra. Most welcome, Dr. Yen.
Respected Professor G, and good afternoon to everybody. Very grateful for this invitation to attend this seminar. I'd like to thank all those who have spoken. You have enlightened me. You have taught me many things on this very noble tradition of Jainism. And you have brought to my memories, you have brought to my mind the memory of my two pilgrimages to Pavapuri, to the Jal Mandir, near Nalanda University, the place of moksha of Mahavir. I would like just to share three ideas. One of the main duty of the religion today is to understand themselves. Each religion has to make this effort to use intelligence, the reasons that we are possessing to understand what we believe. Of course, there is always a temptation to leave the reason aside, not to make this effort. And then we fall into violence, into fanaticism. The Jain tradition, as far as I know, and as far as I could meet some Jain people in India, and I remember here, Gyan Sagar Maharaj was left us so early. I could spend 2 days in a beautiful seminar in Sonagiri with him. I mean, the Jain tradition always impressed me by the intellectual effort done by the Munis and by the lay people, by the professors. We have here distinguished Jain professor to understand the tradition. To understand the tradition in the past, and it's such a huge tradition in terms of scriptures, you know, the corpus of scriptures, we need to be many to understand and to carry on this tradition. To understand the tradition in the past and to understand the tradition also, I would say, in the future, because a religion always has to be revived when the religion is provoked to give new answer to the present situation. So much has been said today about non-violence, about ecology, the respect of the world. And here Jainism has a lot to say. And answering those questions of the modern world, it's helped Jainism to understand itself. That was the first point, always a work of intelligence. The second point is addressed to you. It is very fortunate that in a place like you, Department of Philosophy and Religion, you are studying very deeply your religion. You know, in the West is always claiming that they have created universal philosophy. But I don't know any single place in France, from where I come, in philosophy department, when they will speak of Jainism. It's totally unknown. So it's very fortunate that you, here in BHU and in India, you carry on, you widen the intelligence to other tradition, other rationalities. And as a philosopher, you are used to enter into different system and to make the effort, because sometimes when we come close to, we try to study a religious system, an intellectual system, it seems so unknown to us and so bizarre, so. But we, as a philosopher, we make the effort to listen, and we make the effort to believe that yes, there is a rationality, and we will be able to extract great credit what you have done today, speaking again of Haimsa, of Anekantavana. I mean, the task of the philosopher regarding religion is to universalize what is universalize, to make it understandable to other traditions, to other continents. That is the task of a philosopher. And in that way, I reach my third point. I was saying religion should always use its own intelligence to understand itself. But there is no better way to understand ourselves, to understand who we are, when we enter in dialogue with other traditions. The more I meet other people and other tradition and other philosophy, the more I understand really who I am, in what is my specificity. And today, all of you have given us a great exercise of dialogue. Jainism on Advaita Vedanta, Jainism on Buddhism, and you are also coming, I imagine, reading at your names, you come from different religious traditions. So you were carrying this dialogue between Jainism and the other philosophy and traditions. And here, of course, we think of the dialogue of Gandhi with Jainism through, what was his name in his youth? Gandhiji met that Jain man, he was so much influenced, Rai Chandra. And it's amazing how Gandhiji has, in such a way, helped Jainism to understand in a deeper way what is Ahimsa, giving to Ahimsa a new political dimension. You see, dialogue helps for better understanding. And here, of course, we have to quote Anekantavada. Dialogue, because in dialogue, when I enter in dialogue, I think I need the other one to reveal me better the reality. And Anekantavada is that. I have to multiply the point of view on the reality. So that is the real dialogue and not confrontation. Often I was wondering why Jainism has disappeared from Tamil Nadu, where I was living previously. And this year, in the month of January, I was in Tamil Nadu reading the Periya Purana. And then I understood in the Periya Purana how much suffering, how much struggles there have been. And I, on the contrary, I'm so grateful for this spirit of dialogue of Anekantavada of Jainism. To all of you and to our Jain sisters and brothers, I wish you a happy Mahavir Jayanti. Jai Jinendra.
Also, Jai Jiren to Dr. Yen. And now I'm remembering our prestigious scholar, fortunately with us, between us, Professor Bimlendra Sir, who is the ex-head of Department of Pali and Buddhist Studies. I am now welcoming Sir and now requesting him to please say a few words about Mahavir and Mahavir Jayanti on Jainism.
Thank you, Dr. Anand Kumar Jain, sir. Most respected Professor Mukul Raj Mehta ji, Chairman of BSJSF Committee, Professor Anand Kumar Mishra ji, Head Department of Philosophy and Religion, Professor Suman Jain, Head Department of Ancient History, Culture and Archaeology, BHU, Dr. Bain, Dr. Anand Kumar Jain, Dr. Vivekanand Jain, Dr. Shreyasnath Kumar Jain, Dr. Rahul Maurya, Kalpana Jadhav ji, and other faculty members of Department of Philosophy and Religions, faculty members, research scholars, and my dear research scholars. It is indeed a great matter of pleasure to get associated with this program on Mahāvīra and birth celebration of Tirthaṅkara. I was asked by our Honorable Professor Mukul Raj Mehta ji to come for this occasion. So I have come here. I wish you all a great prosperous birthday celebration of our Lord Mahāvīra. I have been benefited much by the presentation of the research scholars. There are so many similarities of Buddhism and Jainism also. When the research scholars were presenting their papers, they were talking about the law of karma. There are three attributes of the Jainism: right belief, right knowledge, and right conduct. All these are also common in our in the teachings of the Buddha also. These three attributes like right belief, right knowledge, and right conduct, these have been also discussed in a very detailed manner in our Eightfold Path. In a brief manner, I would like to compare all these Jain philosophy, how they are also coming to our Buddhist philosophy also, all how they are related with the teachings of the Buddha also. When we are talking about the right belief, in Buddhism also, right belief or right faith is just like a water purifying gem. That just like a gem which is poured in the water, dirt water, it gets purified. In the same manner here also in Jainism, the right belief and the right faith is just like purifies our consciousness. In Buddhism also, that right faith or right belief just purifies our consciousness. Just like a example has been given, that just like a goldsmith which uses a gem for purifying their gold, or how a gem is being poured in the water and water gets purified. In the same manner, this right belief or right faith purifies our consciousness from the defiling factors or the antidotes or nivarnas. How these antidotes or hindrances which are putting obstacle in the path of concentrations, how they can be removed by the right faith. Right knowledge also we are having in Pali or in Buddhism, just like a samyak drishti or right knowledge. So here in Buddhism, right knowledge is just like that knowledge of the Four Noble Truths, knowledge of the Eightfold Path, knowledge of the law of dependent originations, knowledge of the past existence, present existence, and future existence. So this is called as right knowledge in our Buddhism. In Jainism also this related with the right conduct. Buddhism also give more emphasis on the right conduct. Buddhism believes in the intention and the behavior. And Buddhism says that all things are being guided by our intentions and the behavior. Here intentions is nothing but the law of the karma, which we are discussing in our Jainism also. How this intention and behavior, Buddha says that Chetana ham bhikkhave kammam badami chetitva kai kammam pachi kammam mano kammam. That all actions are being manifested by our volition or the consciousness. Here, Buddhism also gives more emphasis on the mind also. Some of the research scholars, they were presenting their paper that how the mind, body, and the soul, these three are more important in Jainism also. In Buddhism also, this mind, matter, and our Hadaivattu, that is the base of the heart, where all the actions of the mind are being manifested. I will give you the comparison that how this law of karma is also equivalent. The same Jainism also says like this. So intention and behavior, Buddhism believes that all things are being manifested by our consciousness. That is why mind is the forerunner of all the actions. All the actions, whether they are moral or immoral, they are being guided by our consciousness. That is why in Buddhism also it is said that chittam ti kriya, that here consciousness is nothing but it is the kriya, that is the actions. Whatever the actions we are doing, they are being done by only by our consciousness. In Jainism also, the consciousness is just like a jiv. The concept of the jiv here, it is said that jiv is the eternal, and this is the permanent or eternal one. But Buddhism does not believe in the concept of the permanent entity of anything. But in another way, we say that this is the chitta santati. There is the continuity of our consciousness which migrates from one life to another life. This is the transmigration of the consciousness. Now the question arises that the consciousness which transmigrates from one life to another life, that is the same or it is the different from the previous one. In Milinda Pahyo, there is a dialogue between the Acharya Nagsen and King Milinda, and there is a detailed discussion of that. And it is said that this Nam and Rup, which takes birth, it is not the different one and not the same one. Nacha sa nacho ahiyo. That based upon the previous life, there is the existence of the new life. The Nam Rup which takes birth in the next birth, this is the dependent on the previous resultant of the moral and immoral actions done by a persons. So this is the existence or, and the concept of the jiva which we are talking in Jainism, it is just like a hadai bhattu. There is a concept of our seat of the consciousness that is called as hadai bhattu. There is a concept of the hadai bhattu, that where the mano dhatu and the mano biyana dhatu, all the consciousness are being manifested, whether they are moral or immoral. So there is a concept of, in lieu of hadai bhattu, in Buddhism also we are having the concept of hadai bhattu. This is the hadai bhattu, which is the base of the arising of the mano dhatu and mano biyana dhatu. In that way, we can say that this chitta santati is just equivalent to our concept of the jiv in Jainism. So jiv is the eternal one. What we are considering in our Jainism, it is just equivalent to the term chitta santati, which transmigrates from one life to another life, and which transmigrates, it is not the different one and not the same one. This is the concept of this. And much has been also said in the karma and the rebirth also, and how. And we are also having that there are 5 anubratas, which 5 vows we were talking. That is the ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, and aparigraha. These are the 5 vows which are much important. Why ahimsa has been given much importance in the Jainism? It is a matter of investigation that why Jainism talks about the Jainism, ahimsa. The same concept we are also having in Buddhism also. If you go through the right determinations, that is the samyak sankalpa, which is the second factor of the 8 noble path, that it says that it is the nekham sankappo, abhyapat sankappo, and avihimsa sankappo. There are 3 terms which are related with our right determinations. So here, that is the abhyapad sankappo and avihimsa sankappo. Here the concept of avihimsa sankappo is the another name of ahimsa. So here ahimsa is just refraining, and these 5 vows are also available in our Buddhism also, like Panchasil. And this breath is nothing but it is the refraining or restraining the same thing. And in also in Buddhism, we are having the 5 precepts like das panch sikhapad, panati pata bermani sikhapadam samadhiyami, adinna dana bermani sikhapadam samadhiyami, kamesu mikshachara bermani sikhapadam samadhiyami, musavada bermani sikhapadam samadhiyami, Baj Pamada Thana Bermani Sikhapadam Samadhiyami. If you compare all these 5 precepts, Panchasil, which he is prescribed for all the laity persons, they are also the 5 rules which are similar in our Jainism also. So the concept of Kahimsa is nothing but it is the another name of Karuna. Karuna is compassion. What is the compassion or karuna? It is just ahimsa, that refraining from killing a living being. And karuna is just not the name of a verbal sympathy after the seeing of the suffering of others, but how you are making an effort to uproot or to destroy the suffering of the others. It is the name of the compassion. And this compassion is the name of the ahimsa. That is the ahimsa which has been given much importance in Jainism also. In Buddhism, we are also giving the much importance on karuna or compassion. This compassion, until unless we do not have a compassion toward all the human beings, we cannot get equality towards all the human beings. So this is the concept which, the concept of ahimsa. There are other things also which are very much common. If you go through the logic and epistemology, there are so many theories which are quite similar, like the theory of apoha and whatever we are talking. These are also available in Buddhism and Jainism also. So because of the lack of time, I am not going to explain all these, the similarities which we are having in Jainism and Buddhism. And both these religions and in Pali literatures also, some of the suttas like Samayapala Sutta, Samgama Sutta, Sangiti Sutta, they are talking about the Nikantanath, Pitta, Chatu, Yam, Sambara, the restrainment of the fourfold, restrainment of related with the water, how these have been discussed. So there is a detailed discussion of the 6 contemporary teachers in our Pali literatures also, Nikantanath Puttu, which is also contemporary teacher of our Buddha. When Buddha was 29 and he was renouncing the household life, Lord Mahavir was 59 by that time. So this is the teachings which are available in Pali literatures also. And after the Mahaparinirvana of Lord Mahavir, how the conflict which arose among the disciples of the Buddha and how they were councils which was held in our at the time of the Buddha himself, that is available in the Sangiti Sutta in Pali literatures also. So these are some of the things which we can discuss and we can remember the main teachings of the Lord Mahavir. And by remembering these teachings of the Lord Mahavir, we can strengthen our ideas, we can be more energetic, we can follow the ideals of the Lord Mahavir, and we can lead a very noble life in present time. Thank you very much.
Very, very thankful for Professor Vimlen sir for his valuable thoughts. And now I am requesting Professor Mukul Raj Mehta sir to honoring him by garlanding. Have a clap for respected sir. And for such a short period, he depicted all about Jainism and Buddhist philosophy as well as. So now I'm also welcoming Dr. Garima, who is she is also doing research scientist. She is doing a very good work and has done research on fasting process of Jainism and evaluated so many points. So now I'm also welcoming her. Now our chief guest, Professor Sumanjan ma'am, who is a very renowned scholar and the head of Department of Ancient Indian History, Culture and Archive Department. So most welcoming ma'am, please say a few words about the topic, respected ma'am.
Respected dignitaries on the dais, teachers, colleagues, research scholars, and my dear friends. I am indeed happy to join you this seminar on the topic Jainism and Tirthaṅkar Mahāvīra being held one day prior to Mahavir Jayanti. I take this opportunity to extend my warm greetings to all of you. Also, I congratulate to the Department of Philosophy and Religion and Bhagwan Shreyasnath Jain Studies Fund BHU for organizing this seminar on a such topic of great relevance to contemporary times. At a time when the world is faced with multiple challenges and we are seeking ways and means to overcome them, the philosophy and teaching enunciated by Bhagwan Mahavir holds great significance. This is a time to bring his message and teachings to the forefront of our approach in dealing with today's problems. Bhagwan Mahavir, as we know, was born as Vardhaman in a royal family to King Siddharth and Queen Trishla in 6th century BC in Bihar. Despite the luxurious at his disposal, he preferred to lead a simple life. At 30 years of age, he lived the pleasures of the world and discarded all material comforts to become a monk. He meditated for 12 years to overcome all desires, after which he attained self-realization and divine knowledge, or Keval Gyan. He spent the next 30 years traveling throughout the country, overcoming immense physical hardship to preach the eternal truth. Because of his simplicity and espousal of high morals, he was able to reach out to many believers. His teachings were based on the concept of self-realization for the attainment of moksha or liberation. Bhagwan Mahavir is the 24th and the last Tirthankar, we all know. According to Jain tradition, a Tirthankar is an enlightened soul who, having been born as a human being, attains enlightenment through meditation and self-realization. Tirthankaras, also known as Arihants, or the one who destroy inner enemies like anger, greed, or ego. Bhagwan Mahavir, in human form, became divine as an enlightened soul. He propounded a philosophy with the sole aim to improve the quality of life. He strongly adhered to the theory of karma and held that it is karma or our deeds that decides our destiny. His message deals with how one can gain for a freedom from the cycle of birth, life, pain, miseries, and death, and achieve moksha or liberation. He advocated right faith of Samyak Darshan, Samyak Gyan, Samyak Charitra as crucial for attaining liberation. To denote right conduct, he specified, as we know, 5 essential principles, namely non-violence or ahimsa, truth or satya, wrongful position or asteya, chastity or brahmacharya, and complete detachment from people, place and material objects or aparigraha. Bhagwan Mahavir simplified religion by making it devoid of any complicated rituals. He taught that human life is supreme and that it is important to have positive attitude in life. He preached the universal gospel of love, stressing that living beings, irrespective of size, shape, and form, are equal and deserve equal love and respect. In his lifetime, he used the principle of right faith, right knowledge,
and right conduct to resolve many social ills and reform the society. He brought about social progress on issues such as slavery of women, equality of status to women, and social equality. The universal truth of Bhagwan Mahavir's philosophy and teaching make them equally applicable to the modern world. For contemporary problems like erosion of environment and natural resources, violence through war and terrorism, religious intolerance, and economic exploitation of poor, answers could be found in his teachings. The deterioration of environment and depletion of natural resources has engaged the attention of the world today. Bhagwan Mahavir's doctrine of Shati Jiva Nikaya and Ahimsa are a meaningful approach to address this growing crisis. The practice of Ahimsa should be towards all living beings and not just human beings alone. These concepts encourage human beings to exercise utmost care in consuming natural resources and to desist from polluting the environment. Bhagwan Mahavir described moderation, the use of resources, of adopting carefulness, self-restraint, and a limit to possession of durable and non-durable assets. He also showed us the path of careful consumption. Bhagwan Mahavir's teaching are in consensus with the need of mitigate economic disparity. He preached that both non-availability and access availability are dangerous. The concentration of wealth in the hands of a few people is one of the causes for growing intolerance today. So he preached for eliminating the feeling of possessiveness and replacing it with the concept of trusteeship of wealth. He showed the virtue of his ideal by his own example. He renounced his wealth completely and led the life of a recluse to attain true knowledge. Bhagwan Mahavir realized that differences in individual capabilities and needs exist. He therefore preached social ahimsa, comprising compassion, equanimity, love, and tolerance to encourage his followers to focus on their own betterment by letting others also achieve the same. The teaching of Bhagwan Mahavir are still very apt and relevant today. He preached that one is neither downtrodden nor blessed by birth. He mentioned that man should be known not by his birth but by his actions. Practicing such a principle would further the cause of a just social order, an ideal espoused by the builders of the modern society. The world today is unfortunately divided by race, religion, and nationality. It is also made by numerous conflicts that originate from such segregation. Bhagwan Mahavir gave the doctrine of Anekantvad, or multiplicity of views, and said that opposites coexist like white and black or rich and poor. He asked for the differences and diversities to be reconciled through dialogue and practice of social ahimsa. In today's context, nothing can be more relevant than this. Mahavir's doctrine talks of multifaceted development. He had said, the nature of all living beings is to be happy. Everyone wishes to eliminate pain so that he or she can be happy forever. At a macro level, the happiness of a country or community rests on the pillars of sustainable development, preservation and promotion of cultural values, conservation of natural environment, and establishment of good governance. These are imperative goals of any democratic polity today, and they have great potential for being realized by adhering to Bhagwan Mahavir's teachings. The three A's of Ahimsa, Anekant, and Aparigrah of Bhagwan Mahavir's philosophy can provide answers to many modern day problems. I am delighted to know that Bhagwan Shreyasnath Jain Studies Fund BHU
under the guidance of Professor Mehta ji, is working towards building a society free from violence, terrorism, exploitation, poverty, communalism, caste distinctions, and other social ills. I am confident that the Bhagwan Shreyasnath Jain Studies Fund BHU will continue to work towards social progress in the country. I wish them all success. I once again wish all of my brothers and sisters on this auspicious occasion, let Bhagwan Mahāvīra bless us. Thank you.
Very, very thankful to Professor Sumanjan ma'am. She has presented so many views about Tirthaṅkar Mahāvīra, and now I am requesting our Professor Mukul Raj Mehta for his presiding over all these subjects. So I am requesting Professor Mukul Raj Mehta, sir. So please say a few words about.
Respected dignitaries on the dais and my dear friends. Right from today afternoon, you all have witnessed excellent presentations by our teachers and young research scholars. So first of all, I would like to congratulate you all who presented their papers with various aspects of Jainism. Actually, it was an idea that let us celebrate Mahavir Jayanti not only religiously but also academically. So, with the help of our head of the department, Professor Anand Mishra ji, and with the help of our member secretary of Bhagwan Shreyasnath Jain Studies Fund, Dr. Anand Kumar Jain, and with so many research scholars, we just discussed the matter and we thought, let us have this occasion as a academic seminar also on the Jainism and Tirthaṅkar Mahāvīra. So, I can say that it was a wonderful, outstanding success of the program with several presentations. So many presentations were from other departments, students of Professor Anand Kumar ji. They are also here, Tenzing and Denching, Chuski. They also joined this. And Dr. Rajiv Lochan Behra, he also joined this. He's colleague of our department and all other research scholars. So it was a wonderful event, I would say. And we thought that it's not good to make waiting the participants for their certificates. So with the permission of our head of the department, Dr. Anand Mishra ji, we prepared all the certificates immediately, and I think we can present them, the certificates, and also we should honor the young scholars who presented their papers. So may I request Anandji to kindly arrange. Here are the certificates, you can see. Anand. So I would invite first of all Dr. Mr. Diwakar Maurya for his presentation, and Madam, please honor them with our landing. And Anandji, if you please give them certificate. Na? विमलन जी आ जाइए। विमलन जी ठीक है ठीक है ओके अरे उससे देखो
हाँ okay I'm For the second member, I'm calling Miss Durgeshwar from Research Department of Pali and Religion. By garlanding her and presenting her Uttariya, also a memorable certificate forever on the eve of Mahavir Jayanti, the Bhagwan Shreyasnath Jain Studies Fund and the Department of Philosophy and Religion. With the honorable member, we are honoring our participants, Ms. Durgeshwari, and in continuity, I am calling Ms. Tenjin Minki. She has also presented her valuable paper on Lord Mahavir and Lord Buddha. So may I request you to please come on the dais. Ms. Tenjin Minki from Tibet, she has presented her paper in a graceful manner, garlanded. She is also the student of Professor Vimlendra sir. The both department are feeling very good. So in this term, I'm now calling Mr. Vikas Pandey, who is the research scholar of Philosophy and Religion Department. He presented his paper on similarities between the principle of Jainism and Advait Vedanta. Professor Anand Mishra, who is the head of department of the philosophy department, is giving certificate, and the Professor Mukul Raj Mehta is giving Uttariya to the scholar. In the continuity, I am calling Dr. Rajiv Lochan Behra, who is the young scholar and the colleague of Department of Philosophy and Religion. He has presented his paper on philosophy of language. Professor Mishra is giving certificate. Miss Vijay Lakshmi Rai, she is a research scholar of Department of Philosophy and Religion. Her paper on Spotvad, a very peculiar topic from the point of view of Shabda. There is a lot of written material over this topic. Very thankful. Miss Renu Paul, research scholar from the Department of Philosophy and Religion, basically from USA. Garlanding her by Professor Sumanjan ma'am. Uttariya is given by Professor Mukul Raj Mehta, and the certificate is presented by Professor Bimlen sir and Professor Anand sir. I'm also requesting to Dr. Yen, please accompany the dais. also welcome. And now, Mr. Mazid Ansari. Mazid Ansari. So be careful and please come on the dais and take the blessings of your teachers. He is a research scholar of Department of Philosophy and Religion. And he expresses his views on the religious movement at the time of Bhagwan Mahāvīra, given Uttre by Mehta sir, and certificate presented by Dr. Yen. Miss Dichen Chuskit. She is also a research scholar of Department of Philosophy and Religion, Department of Pali and Buddhist Studies. She is among us from Ladakh. We are very thankful to each and everyone. Now, in this connection, I am calling Mr. Praveen Kumar Yadav, who is capturing all the moments from the starting of the program and presented his paper very carefully on the Samyak Darshan, the right belief. Mr. Praveen Kumar Yadav, Research Scholar of Department of Philosophy and Religion. Concept of moksha is the topic of Mr. Praveen Kumar Yadav, and requesting to Miss Rinki Mishra, who is also the Research Scholar of Philosophy and Religion Department. It is very tough to present a paper among your teachers, but you have done a good work. We are very thankful. And at last, I am requesting Dr. Vivekanand Jain, who presented a very good paper on Lord Mahāvīra as a great man of India. Definitely, after 2622 years back, we are in this era now. So you have to take our honor by Professor Mukul Raj Mehta, presenting also the Uttre. Providing certificate by Dr. Yen. So we are very thankful to all the paper presentators. And now the most important work which I have to done is, so before this, Professor Mukul Raj Mehta sir want to say something about.
So I thought ki Turandan Mahakalyan. So our scholars should not wait for their certificates. So once again, I would like to thank you all, and we are also having with us Dr. Garima Jain. She is working on very prestigious Malvi Fellowship of the university. You know how difficult to get this fellowship, because mostly people are not even eligible to apply for that. Such tough conditions are there for Malvi Fellowship, that is under Institute of Eminence program. So Dr. Garimaji is also with us, and she has recently completed a project with us with Bhagwan Shreyasnath Jain Studies Fund, that was on the impact of fasting. So welcome and thank you for joining us, Dr. Garimaji. So once again, thank you all, and now Anandji will perform the formal vote of thanks.
The most important work at last, vote of thanks. So I am here with you. So on the eve of Mahāvīra Jayanti, the full program is organized by Bhagwan Shreyasnath Jain Studies Fund and the Department of Philosophy and Religion. And in our very short request, all of our scholars have arrived there, and we are very thankful to presiding the session or the seminar, Professor Mukul Raj Mehta, especially the chief guest, Professor Suman Jain ma'am, who is a very unique scholar of history and archives, basically epigraphic. And in a very short time, we also just remembered the name of Dr. Yen, and he just joined us today, and we are very thankful to him. And Professor Anand Mishra is the backbone of the whole and soul program. So we are very thankful to him, as well as due to the students of the Department of Pali and Buddhist Studies, Professor Vimlen sir is also among us. I am very thankful to sir, and especially Professor Jha from the Department of Philosophy and Religion, Professor Dr. Rajiv ji, Dr. Rahul ji, Dr. Kalpana, and so many other research scholars. Priyanka ma'am, sorry, I forgot the name. So, and okay. So there are so many scholars and various personalities are with us. Dr. Vivekanand Jain, Dr. Shreyasnath ji, Dr. Garima ji, and especially because of all of research scholars, this program became fruitful and successful. So I am very much and more thankful to research scholars. So I think the technical team is also side by side helping us. So I am thankful to all of you. And if there is any mistake, so please pardon me. Thank you very much. Jai Janendra.